Mrs. Brennan, your husband Eugene has been gambling at our casino for 6 hours. Isn't he supposed to be receiving chemotherapy treatment right now?" The casino security officer's words sliced through the peaceful quiet of my home like a scalpel through healthy tissue. I'm standing in what used to be our living room, now converted into a medical facility complete with hospital bed, oxygen concentrator, and IV pole, all equipment I purchased with my nursing pension to care for my dying husband. The ice spreads from my sternum outward, numbing my arms as I grip the phone. Through the window, I can see Dolores and Ethel from church walking up my driveway for our weekly prayer circle. The same prayer circle where we've been asking God to heal Eugene's stage 4 pancreatic cancer for 18 months. "I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?" My voice sounds foreign, clinical, the voice I used during 45 years of nursing when delivering devastating news to families. "Eugene Brennan. He's been here since 10 this morning, ma'am. Lost about $3,000 so far. We're calling because his wife is listed as his emergency contact, and we're required to notify family when gambling losses exceed our daily limits. $3,000. While I've been preparing his post-chemo medications and arranging his pillows for maximum comfort, while I've been liquidating my retirement accounts to pay for treatments that apparently don't exist. My name is Judith Brennan. I'm 72 years old, and this is the story of how my husband systematically deceived me while I sacrificed everything for his fake illness, and how I used my nursing expertise to expose his fraud and reclaim my independence. If this situation resonates with your soul, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. The metallic taste floods my mouth as my 45 years of oncology nursing experience crashes against the reality of what I'm hearing. Eugene should be weak, nauseated, barely able to walk after today's chemotherapy session. Instead, he's been gambling for 6 hours straight. "Ma'am? Are you there?" "Yes." The word comes out steady despite the earthquake in my chest. "What time did you say he arrived?" 10 a.m. He's a regular here, actually. Comes in most weekdays around the same time. Most weekdays, the same time as his scheduled chemotherapy appointments at Regional Medical Center. The appointments I've been driving him to for 18 months, waiting in the parking lot while he received treatment that apparently never happened. My hands shake as I hang up, and I stare at the medical equipment surrounding me. The hospital bed where Eugene sleeps, claiming the pain is too severe for our regular mattress. The oxygen concentrator running 24 hours a day because his tumors are supposedly pressing on his lungs. The IV pole where I hang his anti-nausea medications I purchased with money from selling my grandmother's diamond ring. "Judy, honey," Dolores calls from the front porch. "We're here for prayer circle." I look toward the door, then back at the phone in my trembling hands. In a few minutes, I'll be sitting with my church friends, holding hands in a circle around Eugene's hospital bed, praying for God to heal a cancer that doesn't exist. The doorbell chimes, and I force myself to move, my nursing training taking over even as my world crumbles. 45 years of caring for terminal cancer patients, and I've been living with a man who's been faking the very disease I've dedicated my life to fighting. "Come in," I call, my voice automatically shifting to the gentle tone I've perfected for families in crisis. Because that's what we are now, a family in crisis. Just not the kind I thought. Dolores and Ethel enter with their usual warm smiles, carrying the prayer shawl our congregation made for Eugene. Behind them, I see Geraldine from the church finance committee pulling into the driveway. She's probably here to update us on the special cancer fund the congregation has been raising. The fund that's collected over $15,000 to help with Eugene's medical expenses. "How's our brave warrior today?" Dolores asks, looking toward the hospital bed where Eugene should be resting after his treatment. "He's not here," I say, the words feeling strange in my mouth. "He's at his chemotherapy appointment." "Oh, bless his heart," Ethel sighs. "Such a fighter. You're both such an inspiration to all of us." Inspiration. The word tastes like poison. I've been inspiring people with a lie, using my medical reputation to validate symptoms that don't exist, treatments that never happened, a prognosis that was completely fabricated. My phone buzzes with a text from Eugene. "Chemo running late today. Don't wait up. Love you." "Love you." The words blur as I realize he's texting me from a casino while my friends gather to pray for his fictional recovery. The devoted wife, who believed in her husband's brave battle, is gone. The oncology nurse who's just diagnosed the biggest medical fraud of her career has taken her place, and she knows exactly what real cancer looks like. The silence in my living room stretches like a held breath as I stare at my 3 church friends, their faces radiating the kind of compassionate concern I've seen thousands of times in hospital corridors. But now I'm on the other side of that look, and everything feels different. "What kind of conversation, Judy?" Dolores asks gently, settling into the chair beside Eugene's hospital bed. The bed I bought with money from selling my grandmother's china set. I look at the medical equipment surrounding us, each piece a monument to my devotion and Eugene's deception. The oxygen concentrator humming steadily, costing me $200 monthly in electricity. The specialized mattress that promised to ease his bone pain. The IV pole, where I've been hanging bags of saline solution that he claimed helped with his severe dehydration from chemo. "I just received a phone call," I begin, my nursing voice emerging, calm, factual, professional. "Eugene isn't at chemotherapy. He's been gambling at Riverside Casino for 6 hours." The words hang in the air like a diagnosis no one wants to hear. Ethel's hand flies to her mouth. Geraldine's eyes widen with confusion. Dolores just stares at me like I've spoken in a foreign language. "That can't be right," Ethel says quickly. "Eugene's too weak to even walk to the mailbox most days." Too weak to walk to the mailbox, but apparently strong enough to gamble for 6 hours straight. My 45 years of oncology experience kicks in like muscle memory, and I start cataloging the inconsistencies I've been dismissing for months. "When was the last time any of you actually saw Eugene during one of his bad days?" I ask, my voice carrying the authority I used when questioning family members about patient symptoms. The silence that follows is telling. Dolores shifts uncomfortably. "Well, we usually visit when he's feeling better. You always said he needed rest during his rough patches." I said that because that's what he told me to say. The admission tastes bitter, but think about it. In 18 months of terminal cancer, none of you have ever seen him actually sick. Geraldine's face goes pale. "Judy, what are you suggesting?" "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm stating facts." I move to Eugene's bedside table and pick up his pill organizer, the one I fill every week with medications that cost me $400 monthly out of pocket. These are anti-nausea pills, pain medications, and supplements for cancer patients. But Eugene never takes them when I'm not watching. I open the organizer, and my suspicions are confirmed. Tuesday through Friday's medications are still there, untouched. He's been pretending to take these for months. Maybe he's just forgetful, Dolores suggests weakly. The cancer could be affecting his memory. "Dolores, I've been a nurse for 45 years. I've cared for hundreds of cancer patients." My voice grows stronger, more certain. Eugene doesn't have cancer symptoms. He has performance symptoms. I walk to his medical chart, the detailed records I've been keeping like the dedicated healthcare professional I am. Page after page of vital signs, symptom tracking, medication schedules, all documenting the progression of an illness that apparently doesn't exist. "Look at this pattern," I say, spreading the charts across the coffee table. Eugene's bad days always coincide with weekdays between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. His good days are evenings and weekends when the casino is closed. The evidence is right there in my own meticulous documentation. How could I have missed it? How could 45 years of medical training be overruled by love and trust? "His weight loss," Ethel says suddenly. "He's lost so much weight." 30 pounds, I confirm. But not from cancer. From the stress of maintaining an elaborate lie. I pull out my phone and show them the casino's number in my recent calls. They said he's a regular, comes in most weekdays around the same time as his supposed chemo appointments. Geraldine's face crumbles. "The fundraiser money. The congregation has donated over $15,000 to help with his medical expenses. $15,000 from our church family, given in love and faith to support a man through his battle with cancer. Money that's probably been feeding slot machines while I've been rationing my own medications to afford his fake treatments." "There's more," I say, my voice steady despite the earthquake in my chest. I pull out the financial statements I've been avoiding, the ones showing the systematic depletion of my nursing pension. I've liquidated $280,000 from my retirement accounts in the past 18 months. For his treatments? Dolores asks. That's what I thought. But if there are no treatments, I trail off, letting them reach the same devastating conclusion I'm facing. My phone buzzes with another text from Eugene. Treatment going well today. Should be home by dinner. Love you, my angel. My angel. The endearment that used to make my heart flutter now makes my stomach turn. I've been his angel, all right. The angel funding his gambling addiction while he played the role of dying husband. Judy, Geraldine says carefully, what are you going to do? I look around at these women, good, faithful women who've been praying for Eugene's recovery, donating money for his care, supporting us through what they believed was the fight of our lives. Women who trusted my medical expertise when I validated his symptoms and treatment needs. I'm going to do what I should have done months ago, I say, my nursing training taking complete control. I'm going to trust my professional judgment over my emotional investment. I pick up my phone and dial a number I haven't called in 2 years, my former supervisor at Regional Medical Center. Margaret, it's Judy Brennan. I need a favor, and it's urgent. I pause, looking at my friends' shocked faces. I need you to verify whether a patient named Eugene Brennan has been receiving chemotherapy treatments at your facility. The silence on the other end tells me everything I need to know before Margaret even speaks. Judy, honey, we don't have any patient by that name in our oncology department. We never have. I hang up and look at my church friends, who are staring at me with the same expression I've seen on families' faces when they finally understand their loved one isn't going to recover. Except in this case, there was never anything to recover from. Eugene has been lying to all of us for 18 months, I say, my voice carrying the finality of a terminal diagnosis. And I've been so busy being a devoted wife that I forgot to be the medical professional I spent 45 years becoming. The hospital bed sits empty in the center of my living room, a monument to the biggest medical fraud I've ever encountered. And this time, I was both the investigator and the victim. The silence in my living room feels like the moment before a code blue alarm, that suspended breath before everything changes forever. My church friends sit frozen around Eugene's empty hospital bed while the truth settles over us like a heavy blanket. Judy, there has to be an explanation, Dolores says, but her voice lacks conviction. Maybe he's receiving treatment somewhere else, or... Dolores. I cut her off with the same gentle firmness I used with families in denial. I've called 3 hospitals in the county. Eugene Brennan isn't a patient anywhere. I move to Eugene's dresser and pull out the manila folder where I keep his medical records, documents I've been organizing with the same meticulous care I used for patient charts during my nursing career. But now I'm looking at them with different eyes. These treatment summaries, I say, spreading them across the coffee table. Look at the letterhead. Geraldine leans forward, squinting at the papers. Regional Medical Center Oncology Department. The font is wrong. My voice grows stronger as my professional training takes over. I worked with their documentation for 12 years before I retired. This isn't their official letterhead. The spacing is off, and they don't use this type of paper. Ethel picks up one of the lab reports. What about these blood test results? Forged. The word comes out with clinical certainty. The reference ranges are incorrect, and the lab codes don't match any system I know. Eugene's been creating fake medical documents. The scope of the deception hits me like a physical blow. This isn't just lying about symptoms, this is systematic medical fraud, complete with fabricated documentation designed to fool someone with my level of expertise. How long have you suspected? Dolores asks quietly. Months. The admission feels like confessing a professional failure. His symptoms never matched my 45 years of oncology experience. Pancreatic cancer patients don't have good days and bad days on such a predictable schedule. They don't maintain their appetite while claiming severe nausea. They don't have the energy for 6-hour gambling sessions. I pull out my phone and scroll through my photo gallery, stopping at pictures from our church's cancer awareness fundraiser last month. There's Eugene, looking pale and weak, accepting prayers and donations from our congregation. Look at this, I say, showing them the photos. He's performing. The slight tremor in his hands, the way he's leaning on me for support, the careful positioning to look frail. This is all calculated. Geraldine's face goes white. The fundraiser raised $8,000 that night. $8,000 from people who scraped together their own limited resources to help a fellow church member fight cancer. Money that probably went straight to the casino while I praised Eugene's brave spirit in front of the entire congregation. My phone rings, and I see it's my daughter Patricia calling. My heart sinks as I realize there's another layer to this betrayal I haven't even considered yet. "Mom?" Patricia's voice sounds strained. "I heard you've been asking questions about Dad's treatment. How did you hear that?" But even as I ask, I know. Eugene must have called her, probably spinning some story about my emotional breakdown or caregiver stress. "Mom, can we talk? In private?" I look at my church friends, who are still processing the magnitude of Eugene's deception. "I'll call you back, Patricia." "Mom, wait, there's something I need to tell you about Dad's cancer." The ice in my chest spreads to my fingertips. "What about it?" "There is no cancer, Mom. There never was." The words hit like a defibrillator shock. My own daughter, my own child, has known this entire time. "How long have you known?" My voice sounds foreign, clinical, dangerous. 6 months. Robert and I figured it out when we saw him at the casino during one of his supposed chemo appointments. 6 months. My children have watched me liquidate my retirement savings, sell family heirlooms, and sacrifice my health to care for their father's fake illness for 6 months without saying a word. Why didn't you tell me? We tried to confront Dad first. He said you were so emotionally invested in taking care of him that the truth would destroy you. He said you needed to feel needed, that caregiving gave your retirement purpose. Needed to feel needed. The phrase cuts deeper than any scalpel. Eugene convinced my own children that I was so pathetic, so desperate for purpose, that I'd rather live a lie than face reality. Susan knows too. Patricia continues. We've been trying to figure out how to tell you without breaking your heart. My 3 adult children have been having family meetings about my emotional fragility while I've been documenting fake symptoms and managing non-existent treatments with the precision of a medical professional. Patricia, I say, my voice carrying 45 years of nursing authority. Your father has committed fraud, financial fraud, medical fraud, and emotional fraud. This isn't about protecting my feelings. This is about criminal behavior. Mom, we know, but nothing. The transformation is complete now. I'm no longer the devoted wife being protected by her family. I'm the medical professional who's just uncovered the biggest fraud case of her career. Your father has stolen nearly $300,000 from me while pretending to have a terminal illness. That's not a family secret. That's a felony. I hang up and look at my church friends who've been listening to my side of the conversation with growing horror. Your own children knew? Ethel whispers. For 6 months. I feel something cold and final settle in my chest. They've been protecting Eugene's secret while watching me destroy my financial future to care for his fake illness. The hospital bed in the center of my living room suddenly looks different, not like medical equipment, but like a prop in an elaborate stage production. The oxygen concentrator, the IV pole, the specialized mattress, all of it purchased with my nursing pension to support a performance. What are you going to do? Geraldine asks. I look at these women, good, faithful women who've been unknowingly participating in Eugene's fraud through their prayers, donations, and support. Women who trusted my medical expertise when I validated his symptoms and treatment needs. I'm going to do what I spent 45 years training to do, I say, my voice steady and professional. I'm going to document everything, gather evidence, and expose the truth, even if it means admitting you were fooled. Especially because it means admitting I was fooled. I stand up, feeling my professional authority return like blood flow to a limb that's been asleep. Eugene made one critical mistake in his elaborate fraud. What's that? He chose to deceive a medical professional who spent her entire career detecting exactly this kind of deception. The woman who's been playing devoted caregiver for 18 months is gone. The fraud investigator has just taken her place. The transformation happens like muscle memory returning after years of dormancy. As I look at the fake medical documents spread across my coffee table, 45 years of nursing expertise surge back with crystalline clarity. This isn't my husband's illness anymore. This is a fraud case, and I know exactly how to build an unassailable investigation. I need all of you to leave, I tell my church friends. my voice carrying the authority I used during medical emergencies. What happens next requires professional documentation, and I can't have any interference. Dolores starts to protest. Judy, maybe you should wait for Eugene to come home and… No. The word cuts through the air like a surgical instrument. Eugene has had 18 months to explain. Now it's time for evidence. After they leave, I sit alone in my converted medical facility and do what I should have done months ago. I trust my professional training over my emotional investment. I pull out my laptop and create a new folder. Eugene Brennan Fraud Investigation. The clinical approach feels like putting on scrubs after a long vacation. Familiar, comfortable, empowering. First, I photograph every piece of fake medical documentation, noting discrepancies in my nursing log. The forged letterheads, incorrect lab values, impossible treatment schedules, all of it documented with the same precision I used for patient charts. Next, I call Margaret at Regional Medical Center. I need a favor that's going to sound strange, I tell my former supervisor. I need written confirmation that Eugene Brennan has never been a patient in your oncology department. Judy, is everything all right? I'm investigating medical fraud, and I need official documentation for legal purposes. Margaret's silence tells me she understands the gravity of what I'm asking. I'll have something for you by tomorrow morning. I hang up and dial the number for Riverside Casino. This is Judith Brennan. You called me earlier about my husband Eugene's gambling. I need to request his activity records for the past 18 months. Ma'am, we can't release that information without… I'm his wife, and I'm investigating financial fraud. I can get a subpoena if necessary, but I'd prefer to handle this quietly. My nursing voice, the one that never accepted excuses from difficult patients, emerges naturally. Let me transfer you to our compliance department. While I wait on hold, I open our joint bank account online and begin tracing the systematic depletion of my nursing pension. $280,000 withdrawn in increments designed to avoid triggering fraud alerts. Eugene's been more sophisticated than I gave him credit for. Mrs. Brennan, this is David from Casino Compliance. We can provide gambling activity records with proper identification and a signed request form. I'll be there within the hour. I change out of my caregiving clothes, the comfortable outfits I've been wearing to manage Eugene's medical needs, and put on my navy blue suit, the one I wore to hospital board meetings and medical conferences, the one that commands respect and projects professional authority. The drive to Riverside Casino feels like traveling back in time to when I was Judith Brennan, RN, head of oncology, instead of Judy, the devoted caregiver being slowly destroyed by her husband's elaborate deception. At the casino, David hands me 18 months of gambling records that make my vision blur. Eugene has been there 127 times during his supposed chemotherapy appointments. Total losses, $47,000. Your husband is what we call a problem gambler, David explains gently. We've been concerned about his frequency and loss amounts, but he always claimed he could afford it. He could afford it because he was using my life savings, money I earned through 4 decades of 12-hour shifts, weekend rotations, and holiday coverage. Money I saved by bringing lunch to work and driving used cars and delaying my own retirement. I need copies of everything, I tell David, and I need a written statement confirming these dates and amounts. Back home, I spread the casino records next to Eugene's fake treatment schedule. The correlation is perfect. Every chemotherapy appointment corresponds to a gambling session. While I was sitting in hospital parking lots reading medical journals and worrying about his recovery, he was feeding slot machines with my pension money. My phone rings and I see it's my son Robert calling. Mom, Patricia told me you found out about Dad. We need to talk. Yes, we do. My voice carries the same tone I used with medical residents who'd made dangerous mistakes. How long have you known your father was committing fraud? Mom, it's not that simple. Robert, I've spent 45 years dealing with medical emergencies. Nothing is ever simple, but the truth is always the truth. How long? 6 months. But Mom, we were trying to protect you. Protect me from what? From discovering that my husband stole my retirement savings? From learning that my own children watched me sacrifice my health and financial security for a lie? You seemed so happy taking care of him. You thought wrong. I cut him off with surgical precision. Tomorrow morning, you, Patricia, and Susan are coming to my house. We're going to have a family meeting where everyone tells the truth for the first time in months. Mom, 8 a.m. sharp. And Robert, bring any evidence you have about your father's gambling. Text messages, photos, anything that proves you knew he was lying. I hang up and return to my investigation. By the time Eugene comes home from his treatment, I'll have a complete case file documenting his fraud, bank records, casino statements, fake medical documents, witness testimony from our children, everything needed to prove systematic theft and deception. The front door opens, and I hear Eugene's voice calling out in that weak, tired tone he's perfected over 18 months. Judy, honey, I'm home. The treatment was rough today. I look at the evidence spread across my dining room table, proof of the most elaborate medical fraud I've ever encountered. Then I look toward the living room, where Eugene is probably settling into his hospital bed, preparing to perform another evening of fake symptoms. I'm in the dining room, Eugene, I call back, my voice steady and professional. We need to talk, because the devoted caregiver who believed his lies is gone. The fraud investigator who's going to expose them has taken her place, and she has 18 months of evidence to present. Sunday morning arrives with the weight of Judgment Day. I'm standing in the church fellowship hall, watching our congregation gather for the special cancer survivor celebration. The event planned to honor Eugene's miraculous recovery and thank everyone who supported us through his battle. The irony isn't lost on me. In 12 hours, I'll be exposing the biggest medical fraud our church has ever seen, in front of the same people who've been praying for Eugene's healing for 18 months. Judy, you look radiant today, Pastor Williams says, approaching with his warm smile. Eugene must be feeling wonderful to attend such a big gathering. He's feeling better than he has in months, I reply, the double meaning sharp in my mouth. Eugene is indeed feeling wonderful. He won $2,000 at the casino yesterday while I was preparing my evidence presentation. The fellowship hall fills with familiar faces. Dolores and Ethel from our prayer circle, Geraldine with the financial committee, Margaret from the hospital, who drove an hour to attend after I called her yesterday. My 3 adult children, sitting together with guilty expressions, still believing they're protecting me from a truth I've already uncovered. Eugene enters to spontaneous applause, looking appropriately humble and grateful. He's wearing the pale blue shirt that makes him look fragile, and he's perfected that slight tremor in his hands that suggests ongoing treatment effects. Before we begin our celebration, Pastor Williams announces, Judy has asked to say a few words about their journey. I stand up, feeling 45 years of nursing authority settle around me like armor. In my hands, I hold a manila folder containing 18 months of evidence, casino records, fake medical documents, bank statements, and official hospital confirmations. Thank you all for being here, I begin, my voice carrying the professional tone I used for difficult family conferences. For 18 months you've supported Eugene and me through what you believed was his battle with terminal pancreatic cancer. Murmurs of agreement ripple through the crowd. Eugene smiles that brave, grateful smile he's perfected. You've donated over $15,000 to help with medical expenses. You've brought meals, offered prayers, and shown the kind of Christian love that makes our church family special. Eugene's smile falters slightly as he senses something different in my tone. As a registered nurse with 45 years of oncology experience, I want to share some medical facts with you about pancreatic cancer. I open my folder and pull out the first document. This is Eugene's supposed treatment schedule from Regional Medical Center. I hold up the forged letterhead for everyone to see. This is a fake document. The letterhead is incorrect. The treatment protocols don't exist, and the supervising physician listed hasn't worked at Regional Medical in 3 years. The silence in the fellowship hall is deafening. Eugene's face goes white. This, I continue, pulling out another document, is official confirmation from Regional Medical Center that Eugene Brennan has never been a patient in their oncology department. Pastor Williams looks confused. Judy, I don't understand. Eugene doesn't have cancer. He never had cancer. For 18 months he's been faking a terminal illness while systematically stealing my $280,000 nursing pension to fund his gambling addiction. The gasps echo through the fellowship hall like a collective intake of breath. Eugene starts to stand, probably to leave. But I'm not finished. These are his gambling records from Riverside Casino, I say, pulling out the thick stack of documents. 127 visits during his supposed chemotherapy appointments. Total losses, $47,000 of my retirement money. Judy, please. Eugene's voice cracks, but I cut him off with the authority I used to silence disruptive family members during medical crises. I'm not finished. I turn to face my 3 adult children who are staring at me with shock and growing shame. Patricia, Robert, and Susan have known about their father's fraud for 6 months. They chose to protect his secret rather than prevent him from continuing to steal from me. Patricia starts crying. Robert looks like he wants to disappear. Susan just stares at the floor. The medical equipment in our home, the hospital bed, oxygen concentrator, IV pole, all purchased with money from selling my grandmother's jewelry, equipment that was never medically necessary because there was never any illness to treat. I pull out the final document, the one that will end this charade forever. This morning, I filed a police report for financial fraud, elder abuse, and theft. Eugene will be arrested when he leaves this building. The fellowship hall erupts in shocked murmurs. Eugene's carefully constructed facade crumbles completely as he realizes his performance is over. Judy, you don't understand, he pleads, his voice no longer weak or trembling. I never meant for it to go this far. The gambling got out of control, and I needed time to figure out how to pay you back. 18 months, Eugene. You stole from me for 18 months while I sacrificed my health, my retirement, and my peace of mind to care for your fake illness. Pastor Williams steps forward, his face grave with understanding. Eugene, is this true? Eugene looks around the fellowship hall, at faces that have shown him nothing but love and support, and finally nods. The money you donated to help with his medical expenses, I tell the congregation, will be returned to you. I've already spoken with the bank about establishing a restitution fund. Margaret from the hospital stands up. Judy, on behalf of the medical community, I want to say how sorry we are that your professional expertise was used against you in this way. Thank you, Margaret. But I want everyone to understand something important. I look directly at Eugene, then at my children, then at the congregation that's been unknowingly participating in this fraud. I'm not the victim here. I'm the medical professional who uncovered and documented this fraud. I'm the nurse who trusted her training over her emotions and exposed the truth. 2 police officers enter the fellowship hall, and Eugene's shoulders slump in defeat. Eugene Brennan, Officer Martinez says, you're under arrest for financial fraud and elder abuse. As they lead Eugene away in handcuffs, I feel something I haven't felt in 18 months, the satisfaction of a job well done. The devoted caregiver who was slowly being destroyed by lies is gone. The medical professional who exposed the truth is standing in her place. And for the first time in years, I know exactly who I am. 8 months later, I'm standing in the conference room at Regional Medical Center, looking out at 30 healthcare professionals who've gathered for my presentation on detecting medical fraud in personal relationships. The irony isn't lost on me. At 72, I've become an expert in the very crime that nearly destroyed my life. How many of you have ignored your professional instincts in personal situations? I ask the room. Nearly every hand goes up, and I smile with recognition. Today, we're going to talk about why that happens and how to prevent it. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It took 6 months of legal proceedings, financial recovery, and the kind of systematic rebuilding I'd perfected during my nursing career. But for the first time in decades, every aspect of my life is built on truth rather than deception. My phone buzzes with a text from Patricia. Mom, the kids want to know if Grandma Judy is coming to Emma's soccer game Saturday. They miss you. I smile and text back. Wouldn't miss it. Tell Emma I'm bringing the orange slices and my new medical fraud detection manual. The relationship with my children has been the hardest part to rebuild. It took months of family therapy and honest conversations before we could move past their complicity in Eugene's deception. But we're stronger now, built on truth instead of the need to protect each other from reality. Mrs. Brennan? A young nurse in the front row raises her hand. How did you finally trust your professional judgment over your emotional investment? By remembering that 45 years of medical training doesn't disappear just because you love someone, I reply, your expertise is earned, not optional. After my presentation, Margaret approaches with a familiar manila folder. The State Nursing Board wants to offer you a permanent consulting position, she says. Your case has become required reading in medical fraud detection courses. A permanent position. At 72, I thought my career was over. Turns out, it was just beginning its most important chapter. What would that involve? Training healthcare professionals to recognize when their expertise is being manipulated against them. Your case has already helped 12 other women uncover similar fraud. 12 other women. The number hits me with unexpected force. How many others are out there, living with elaborate medical deceptions, having their professional knowledge undermined by emotional manipulation? I'll do it, I say without hesitation. When do I start? My phone rings, and I see it's Linda Morrison, Eugene's former gambling counselor who's become an unlikely friend. We met during the legal proceedings, two women who discovered we'd been living with different versions of the same lie. Judy, I have news, Linda says. Eugene's been approved for the work release program. He'll be able to start paying restitution while serving his sentence. Eugene received 3 years for financial fraud and elder abuse. He'll serve 18 months, with the remainder on probation contingent on full restitution and continued gambling addiction treatment. It's not enough to undo the damage, but it's accountability. How are you doing with all this? I ask Linda. We've developed a friendship built on shared experience, two women who learned to trust evidence over emotions. Better than I expected. Turns out, facing the truth is less exhausting than living a lie. After I hang up, I walk through the hospital corridors where I spent 4 decades of my life. The familiar sounds and smells feel like coming home, but different now. I'm not just Judy the nurse anymore. I'm Judith Brennan, RN, medical fraud consultant, expert witness. At home, I look around my living room, really look at it. The hospital bed is gone, replaced by a comfortable reading chair. The medical equipment has been donated to families who actually need it. The space feels lighter, cleaner, more authentically mine. The anniversary photos are gone too, replaced by pictures of my nursing school graduation, my medical awards, my new consulting certification. The walls tell the story of a woman who built her identity on professional competence, temporarily lost it to emotional manipulation, and reclaimed it through courage and expertise. My doorbell rings, and I open it to find Dolores and Ethel from church, carrying a covered dish and nervous smiles. We brought dinner, Dolores says hesitantly, and we wanted to apologize again for not seeing the signs. You weren't trained to see them, I tell them, stepping aside to let them in. That's why I'm developing a program to teach church communities how to recognize medical fraud. You're not angry with us? Ethel asks. I'm grateful to you. Your support during those 18 months kept me sane, even when I was living a lie. That matters. As we sit around my kitchen table, the same table where I once organized fake medical documents, I realize how much has changed. These women no longer look at me with pity or concern. They look at me with respect and admiration. What's next for you? Dolores asks. I'm writing a book, I tell them, a guide for healthcare professionals on detecting medical fraud in personal relationships. The publisher thinks it could help thousands of people. What will you call it? I smile, thinking of the title that came to me during one of my sleepless nights. Trust Your Training, a nurse's guide to detecting deception. After they leave, I sit quietly in my kitchen, surrounded by the life I've built from the ashes of betrayal. At 72, I've learned that it's never too late to reclaim your professional identity, trust your expertise, and start over. The fake medical charts are gone, replaced by real consulting contracts. The gambling receipts have been replaced by restitution payments. The lies have been replaced by truth, accountability, and purpose. My phone chimes with an email from a woman in Oregon. Mrs. Brennan, I heard your story and used your advice to uncover my husband's fake disability claim. Thank you for teaching me to trust my physical therapy training over my emotions. I smile and begin typing my response. Because this is who I am now, not the woman who was deceived, but the professional who helps others avoid the same deception. If you've ever questioned your professional expertise in personal situations, or felt like your training was being used against you, remember this: Your knowledge is earned, not negotiable. Trust what you know, trust what you've learned, trust yourself. Because sometimes the skills that built your career are exactly what you need to rebuild your life. And it's never too late to remember who you really are.